Hello everyone, myself P. Jithendar, Assistant Professor in Electrical and Electronics Engineering, MLR Institute of Technology. In today's video lecture, I am going to discuss about the construction of a DC machine. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the construction of a DC machine. Okay, so here we need to discuss the construction here. So here, for the construction point of view, DC motor and DC generator, so both are same here in the construction point of view. Okay, so here is the total construction of a DC machine. Okay, so here in this DC machine, the outer frame, so this is the outer frame. This outer frame we can call it as a yoke or frame. The outer part we can call it as a yoke or frame, and here we are having the total 4 poles here. Here is the 1 pole and second, and this is third pole, and this is fourth pole. So we are having the total 4 poles. So it is a 4 pole DC machine. Okay, it is a 4 pole DC machine. So for this, each and every pole we are having the field winding here. See here, for each and every pole having the field winding. Okay, so here is the field winding. So here is the direction. So like this, we are having the field windings here. So this is the field winding of DC machine. Okay, for each and every pole we are having the field windings, right? And here is the total 4 poles are there, right? So for this pole having the pole shoe and pole core. Okay, so here this part we can call it as a pole shoe, and here this part we can call it as a pole core, right? We are having the pole shoe and pole core, and the middle one and the middle part we can call it as a shaft. Okay, the middle part we can call it as a shaft, and here we are having the brushes. So this one and this one, and here this one, and here this one is the brushes, right? So for these brushes we are having the commutator, right? So this part we can call it as a commutator. So this is commutator, right? So now we are having the armature. So this part we can call it as a armature, and in this armature we are having the armature conductors, right? So suppose, so we are having the supply here. This side we are having the supply. Suppose if we are giving the load, it act as a DC generator. If we are giving the, suppose if we are giving the supply, it act as a DC motor. Okay, so now, so we'll discuss one by one. So we are having the first part, yoke or frame. Okay, so yoke is the yoke will give the mechanical support to the entire machine. Okay, so here yoke will give the mechanical support to the entire machine, right? And it is made of cast iron, right? So here you can see, so yoke we can call it as a frame. So yoke or frame. So here the yoke is the outer frame of the DC machine. It is made up of high permeability and high mechanical strength. Okay, so it is made up of a cast iron or cast steel, right? So the yoke or frame of the DC machine serves the following main purposes, right? So here it will protect the internal machine parts like armature and windings, field poles, and etc., and against the damage of the mechanical damages, right? So it will be protects the armature, windings and field poles and against the mechanical damages. And the next point is the yoke houses the magnetic field system. So the yoke houses the magnetic field system, and it provides the low reluctance path to the working the magnetic flux, right? So it will support the rotor or armature through the bearings. Here is the yoke. So mainly the yoke will give the mechanical support to the entire machine. Okay, so we can call it as a yoke or frame. And next part we are having the armature. So armature, it is nothing but in DC machine, if it is a motor or if it is a generator, in DC machine, armature is a system of conductors or coils that can rotate freely. So means armature is a rotating part of the DC machine. Okay, so the supporting bearings, the working torque and EMF are developed in coils of the armature. Okay, so across the armature we'll get the torque and we'll get the EMF, right? So the armature consisting of two main parts, namely armature core and armature winding, right? So here armature is mainly it is a rotating part of the DC machine. So in that it will develop the torque or EMF, and mainly it is having the two main parts. One is the armature core, another one is armature winding, right? Here is the second part of the DC machine. Now field system. So we are having the field winding, series field winding or shunt field winding, like that we are having here, right? So here the field system is the part of a DC machine which produces the working magnetic flux in the DC machine. Okay, so here the field system will working the magnetic flux in the DC machine. It is basically a system of electromagnets which is excited by a DC supply. In case of DC machine, the field system is a stationary part of the machine and it is bolted to the yoke or frame of the machine. So here there are three main parts of field system in DC machine, namely pole core, pole shoes and field coils. So field coils are nothing but series field, shunt field. Okay, so and commutator. So commutator is nothing but so here is the commutator. So commutator is the one important part of the DC machine. So it is basically mechanical rectifier. We can call it as a mechanical rectifier. This commutator we can call it as a mechanical rectifier. It is a cylindrical shaped device and is made up of copper. Okay, and it is made up of copper. And here the outer periphery of the commutator has V-shaped slots to carry commutator segments, where the commutator segments are copper bars inserted in the slots. So here the armature conductors are connected to the commutator segments with the help of copper lugs. So here the armature conductors. So in armature we are having the armature conductors. That armature conductors are connected to the commutator segments with the help of copper lugs. So here the major function, the commutator performs the following two major functions. In DC generator, it collects the current from the armature conductors. So in starting I was discussed about this one. It will collect current from the coil, means it collect the current from the armature conductor, means coil, in a DC motor, and it supplies the current to the armature conductors, is the first point. Here is the first point. And second point is, it converts the alternating current of the armature into unidirectional current in the external circuit with the help of brushes, and vice versa. Right, here is the commutator. So mainly the main function of commutator is to collect current from the armature or a coil. Now we are having the another part, that is brushes. So brushes is nothing but it will collect current from the commutator. That is the main definition of the brushes. So here brushes are used to make an electrical connection with the rotating commutator. These collect current from the moving commutator. The brushes are usually made up of carbon. So here for these brushes are made up of carbon. They are housed in brush holders and are in contact with the commutator surface with the help of spring pressure. And also we are having the bearings. So bearings are used in the DC machine to reduce the frictional losses. So basically we are having the different types of the losses in a DC machine. So that is iron losses, copper losses, and mechanical losses. So the mechanical losses consisting of frictional losses, windage losses. So here bearings. So here the mechanical losses which are occurred at the shaft of the DC machine. So bearings are connected at the shaft. So bearings are used in the DC machine to reduce the frictional losses. The main function of bearings in DC machine to support the machine shaft with minimum friction. So see here, the DC machine is to support the machine shaft with the minimum friction. In DC machine, ball bearings or roller bearings are commonly used. So this thing already we know. So in DC machines, ball bearings or roller bearings are commonly used in the DC machine. Okay. So these are the different parts of DC machine. Okay. If they will ask about the construction of a DC machine, you have to go through the construction of a DC machine. So this is about the total construction and parts of DC machine. Okay. So thank you one and all.